These are words for the wind for the weekend of June 13th and 14th, 2020. The Catholic community is celebrating the feast of the solemnity of the Most Holy Body and Blood of Christ this weekend. I just finished watching the news from 5 until 6. Probably something that many of you have given up on because it is very sad, very stressful, very complicated. There's tons of anger and fear and hurt and expectations for change, and all of that is not easy to resolve or heal. It will take time, and many people are not going to want to give time, and I'm not at all confident that we're going to have happy endings. I really am not. But we are what we are. We live when we live, and we have to try and do the best that we possibly can do. Conventional Catholic theology in recent years has tried to keep the body and blood of Christ in the church, specifically in the tabernacle, tremendous emphasis on the presence of Christ in the Eucharistic bread and wine. And while that's certainly, I agree, true, wonderful, our theology is much deeper and broader than that. Christ is present in all of creation. If you take seriously the words of John's Gospel, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and nothing came into being except through the Word. We have not allowed our theology of Christ to develop very well in the recent centuries. The church became very much preoccupied with structure and maintaining itself. And while there was some theological creativity, by and large that was marginalized and not taken seriously and brought into a meaningful conversation with the church being the people of God, not just one group within that people, but the church is the people of God, and we have not done a very good job of consulting and conversing with the people of God as to how our Christology, which is the technical term for the theology of Christ, how our Christology relates to the world that we live in. And we have to do that. I mean, it's going to be done because I believe that the Spirit of Christ, the resurrected Christ, the Spirit of Christ is what permeates and animates and creates love, compassion, forgiveness, mercy, trust, even in the imperfect ways that we express it and experience it. That's the Spirit of Christ that's moving and stirring and creating visions and hopes and dreams, and then giving us the skills and the tools and the language to carefully be about building up the kingdom of God. The 2,000 years of Catholic Church history has been responsible for a great deal of good in this world. Many bodies and bloods of people have benefited because of the Church. And periodically the Church has very compassionately expressed its limitations and its contributions to the opposite of what the kingdom of God is. We need to move in that direction. As I've suggested, lamentation should be our greatest contribution to the world that we live in today, because there is much to lament. There are many bodies and much blood to lament in the 20th century and in the early days of the early years of the 21st century. So when we celebrate the solemnity of the body and blood of Christ, we need to remember that that's what we're talking about. We're talking about this ever-present Spirit being available to us to pull us beyond where we are, to lift up our failures, our limitations, to cause us to reconcile and to seek to heal, to cause us to want to touch the world with gentleness and leave our children and grandchildren with an appreciation of beauty, truth, and goodness, and to help them see in one another, all of them, the beauty, truth, and goodness that we can find so easily in those we love and those we know. I just want to give you some updates on what's happening with Mass and church and so on. We sent out about 1,900 invitations for people to consider whether or not they wanted to return to Mass. We received less than 150 yeses. There's units, that's not just people. There can be families in there, 2, 3 people, couples. So we have less than 150 want to come back, more than 250 want to wait. They are not confident, or they're not able to find themselves comfortable celebrating under the limitations that we will celebrate. So beginning toward the end of this week or early part of the week after, you'll be called and you'll be invited to come to a specific Mass on the weekend of July 4th and July 5th. July 4th at 10 a.m. we'll have a Mass for those who have died of the COVID-19 virus, those who grieve them, those who cared for them, those who buried them, and those who cremated them. I think it's very important for us to bring sacrifice and thanksgiving to the Eucharist as our first Eucharist, public celebration of the Eucharist. 4 o'clock Mass that evening will be the Mass of the Sunday, 10:30 on Sunday. The next day, the 5th of July, will be the Mass of that Sunday. But you need to be invited. Going forward, with the few people that really want to come to Mass, we probably will be able to accommodate everybody who wants to come every weekend. But that remains to be seen. Until we're sure of that, please know that you'll need to be invited and you'll need to be checked in. You'll have to wear a mask at all times. There'll be no singing, no air conditioning. And we've got to sanitize the church after each time it's used and so on. It's going to be complicated in the beginning, but we will make our best effort to make it as pleasant an experience as we can. We thought that the construction on Northgate Drive and in the Northgate subdivision would begin to be resolved. It's not. It's only going to get more complicated for the next 3 or 4 months. So getting into and out of our property is not easy. That's one of the reasons why we're not going to start daily Mass, because frequently on weekday mornings, it's virtually impossible to get in there, and we don't know from day to day what that's going to be like. So if you want to come and visit the property, and there's beautiful flowers, benches, and so on, you can come in the evening. I'll be there tomorrow, Sunday, and all the Sundays until the 5th of July. There's just a couple. From noon until 4, if you want to come and visit, we can talk, chat. You can complain, ask questions, whatever you want to do. And if we can remain outside, that'll be fine with social distancing. If we need to go inside, we'll all have to wear masks, and we have masks available. In any case, please try and be patient with yourself. Try and be patient with all the rest of the people that share this time with us. I've decided that I cannot go shopping. I can barely go out walking because I get mad at people that aren't wearing masks. I think it's unfortunate that public health has been turned into some kind of, I don't know, issue. I also think it's unfortunate that Sunday Mass has been turned into another kind of political issue. I think that we all ought to be concerned about caring for one another. That's the essence of the faith that we profess anyway. And if wearing masks and social distancing contributes to the common good, I just think that's what we ought to do. But that's just me. And that's why you won't see me out shopping. And if you're without a mask, I won't see you. But peace be with you. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity to the parish. Thank you for making us what we are and keeping us hopeful so that we can continue being what we are. And I hope you're reasonably happy. Thanks.